So we're going to create a form or database called First Forms. So if we click on Save As, let's make sure that we save this in the correct area, wherever it is, and we're going to call it First Forms. Excel macro enabled workbook. That is essential, right? First Forms. So now we've got it up here as First Forms Excel. What we're going to do is we're going to put in a series of names in the first sheet. So let's go to some names, just put some names in. So we've got some names here. Let's select those names. Make sure that they are completely selected. That is essential. If you don't have them all selected, it will mess up. Go up to this name box up here. This is called the name box, and click on that and write in names. Please make sure it is plural at this point in time, because the word name is a used word already. So now we've got a list called names. Let's go down from sheet 1 and create a new sheet called sheet 2, and we're going to write in about 10 foods. I don't care what kinds of foods you put in, but let's put in some foods. So we're going to select these also, make sure they are fully selected, go up to the name box and write in food. Now if you've made a mistake with this, say you've selected something here, and you've called it foods, and we've got extra names in here or whatever. If we go to formulas and we go to name manager, we can click on that and we can actually edit either down here or in here what we're going to be dealing with. Now I've made an extra one in here called foods. I need to delete that, so I go up and delete it. Are you sure? Yes. And now I've only got 2. And so when I click over here, I've got food or I've got names. And as I select through that, it will actually change from sheet to sheet. Excellent. Let's go Alt F11, and what we're going to do is we're going to insert a user form. And it should come up something like this. It may not. It might come up like this without your Properties or Project Explorer window. It might come up without a toolbox. What we've got to do is we've got to set this up so that it actually works for us. So we go to View and we make sure, absolutely make sure, that we have got our Project Explorer up, and this is Control R, and this gives us the ability to manipulate between programming and the user form itself. So if I double click on there, it moves into the programming mode. How do I get back? I go over to user form and double click it. Now at the moment I haven't got my toolbox up. Now as long as I click on my user form, I can go up to this spot, which is right next to the question mark here. Just there on the left is Toolbox, and if I click on there I can see my toolbox. And inside my toolbox I've got a number of things. I've got a label, I've got a text box, I've got a combo box, I've got a list box, I've got a check box, I've got an option button, I've got a toggle button, I've got a frame, I've got a command button, I've got a tab strip, a multi-page, I've got a scroll bar, I've got spin button, I've got image, and then I've got 2 things that you probably won't have. What I need to do is I need to create a list box. So I go along and look for the one that says list box. There it is. Click on that and I draw in my list box. Now I could either go over here and draw in a new list box, or I could select this list box, press Ctrl C, select the user form again and press Ctrl V, and that way I can manipulate it. But these 2 boxes are exactly the same, and I can guarantee you that they are both list boxes because I have actually copied and pasted the same thing. The next thing I need is a text box, and to find the text box, okay, select objects label, it's the one with the APL, it's text box, and I need to put a text box up here. And now I want a command button, and the command button looks like this. See, we've got the frame, and right next to the frame is a command button. Click on that, and I'm going to draw on that. I'm just going to get rid of my toolbox. What's really important is that I have made sure that this is a text box and these are list boxes. But how can I tell? If I right click on here and go to properties, I can actually have a look at under the name and under the properties, and you'll see here it says list box 1. So I know that this is a list box. If I click on the next one, it actually changes here and says list box. If I click up here, it changes to text box. And if I click over here, it changes to command button. That's the way that I can see which one is what. And I can go through, mouse through each one of those to see what it is. Now this command button, it's actually got the word command button in. I'm not happy with that. I want to change that to something else. I might call it message. So if I go down to my caption on that one and select that and press in the word message, it actually pops up over here. Now it says message. I can change the color of these. So the background color of this message one, if I click on that, I like to use a white. So I'm going to click a white, and you'll see it's white there. The user form itself, if I click on there, so that's user form 1, I want the background color to change. I'm actually going to go with a custom kind of color. So I'm going to go over to palette, and I'm going to look. I could click on one of these, and some of these are very good, some of these are not so good, right? I might not like those. So if I don't like something, see one of these white ones, if I right click on that, it comes up with the define color option. And now I can look for my color that I would like, and I'm going to go for a weird aqua green kind of color, and I'm going to add that color, and now this is all that color. I can see what this looks like by running it. So I go up to run, or I press F5, and it pops up and I can see this nice color. And as I click on there, it's going to do nothing at the moment. I click on there, I could put some text in there. I click on there, it's doing nothing. I need to now go out of here by pressing the X. If I don't press the X and I go to my VBA editor, I cannot edit anything. So that's really important that I am able to edit. So I click on that, and now I can edit. The first place I'm going to go to is my list box. List box 1, see up there? List box 1, it's the left one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to row source. Now if I can't find row source, it means that it's actually not a list box, and I need to make sure that it is a list box. If it's a text box, it will not have a row source. With the row source, I'm going to now put in the word name, names, and press enter, and immediately over here it actually fills the names into there. As you can see, that text is nice and small. I want to actually make it bigger, so I'm going to go to my font. So I look for my font and I click on here, and now I'm actually able to change my font, and I'm going to change this to 14, press OK, and all of a sudden it's nice and big. I can change the size of my box so it's a little bit better from a point of view of fitting all those names in. I'm going to change the color of my font, so it's the 4 color that I'm looking for, and I click on that, and I'm going to use the same color as that, which I've already got there. So there we go. So let's click on that 4 color and change that to that green. And as you can see, it's now fitting quite nicely. I could run that, and that's how it looks. Close that. Okay, this one, I'm actually going to make my row source food. So I click on row source and I write food. I need to make sure that I've spelled it exactly right, with the capitals in the right place, according to my names that were over here in the name box. So it says food with a capital F. I need to make sure that it is a capital F. So I click on there and I make sure that my row says food, and immediately it pops up with food. I'm also going to change my font color to being the 4 color to being the same color as that green. And I probably want my font to be a little bit smaller than the font over here. So let's have a look. Change the font and we'll make it 14. Press OK. It's a little bit smaller. I might just adjust my box a little bit better so that I can fit it there. This one I'm just going to adjust so it's a little bit smaller. Just move this around a little bit until it fits what I need it to. So now what do I do? Well, I want to actually run a program in here that collects the names from this list box, puts a little message in between, and then collects the name of this, whatever this is, and puts it in there automatically. How do I do this? What I need to do is I need to double click this text box, and it comes up with text box change. Now that's fine, except that I want it to work when it's mousing over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make sure my mouse is still clicked in here, and I'm going to go up to where it says change over here, and I'm going to select that and go down to mouse move. It will immediately come up with all of this. It does it all for me. Now if I accidentally deleted all of those, when I look over here it actually says declarations and it actually won't work. So what do? I need to go back to my user form, and then I need to double click in the text box and it will come up with this. I then need to see, yes, it's got change. I click over here, and here we can now move it to mouse move. When I can see that it's got all the text for the mouse move one, what I can then do is delete this from up here. Be careful what I delete. If I delete some of this or some of this, it's going to mess up my code. So I just delete specifically what was there. So now I've got private sub text box underscore mouse move by val button etc. I'm now going to run my code in here. So I put a few spaces in here. Now my code is a very, very simple code. What it is text box 1, which happens to be the same text box that we're dealing with, dot value. Now the value that is going to be displayed in text box 1 is going to be equal to the information from list box 1 and the information from list box 2 plus some more information in between. So let's start with it, making it just the value of list box 1 equals list box 1 dot value. Now if I run that by going up here or pressing F5, if I click on say Matthew here, when I run my mouse over here it actually puts in the word Matthew, and that's small. We'll change the font in a few minutes, but we can see that now if I run my mouse over here it's changed to Stephen or Gillian. Let's click out of there. So double click in there. So text box 1 dot value equals list box 1 dot value. Now I'm going to join some words to this, and the way I do that is I use the ampersand symbol. And the way I need to deal with the ampersand symbol is I must have a space on either side of the ampersand. So let's start with a space, then ampersand, which is shift 7. Then I put another space. So I must have a space on either side. If I don't, it's not going to work properly. I'm now going to put inverted commas, and I'm going to put loves to eat. Now I automatically know that this is not going to work properly. We're going to run it and see what happens. If I click on Matthew and run my mouse over it, see how it says Matthew loves to eat, but there needed to be a space in there. I need to actually go back into this and put a space in between there. So it goes the list box value, then a space, then loves to eat. I'm going to have the same problem at the end of eat, so I'm going to put a space there. And now when I run it, it will actually work. Stephen loves to eat. It works nicely. Let's go back in here. I need to put a space and put an ampersand and a space. always, space, ampersand, space. And now we're going to add the list box 2 value. So list box, and if I press Control space, it comes up with 2 options here, list box 1 or list box 2. I'll click on list box 2, dot value, and I can click on there as well. Press enter. Let's run this. Stephen, egg and bacon roll. Stephen loves to eat egg and bacon roll. Perhaps I should have put rolls there. I could change that easily. Let's go back to here. And let's go back to foods. Egg and bacon roll, rolls. Egg and bacon rolls. Well, let's run that again. Run. John loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. See how I haven't got a full stop at the end? Well, we're going to fix that. Let's go into here. And we're going to write ampersand, another space, inverted commas, and immediately a full stop. We do not need a space at this point. So let's run that. John loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. See how we've got the full stop in there? John loves to eat chocolate. Matthew loves to eat steak. Excellent. Now, let's go to that font size, and let's go to properties, and we're going to put the font size a little bit bigger. So let's go to, I don't know, 14, bold oblique. Press OK, and we're going to go with a different color font this time, so we're going to change it to, I don't know, a blue. Now let's run and see what happens. Matthew, egg and bacon rolls. Matthew loves to eat egg and, oh, it's disappeared. What is the problem? I actually need to have it coming down here. So let's close out of that. Let's right click there, go to properties, and let's have a look for the thing that's going to help us here. So as we go down each one of these, auto tab, back color, control source, enabled, field behavior, let's have a look at what we've got as an option. Multi-line. I wonder what that is. It says multi-line false. Let's make it true. So I click on there, and now I'm going to run it and see what happens. Matthew loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. Now it fits in there. And now I can see this is probably going to be the longest one. Stephanie loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. So I could probably bring the size of this back up here. So let's just pull this back. It's a little bit smaller. And let's run that, see if this is running a little bit better. So Stephanie loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. There we go. But at the moment, my message box does nothing. So this is a slightly different thing. So I double click on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a message. So dim message as string. Message, we'll deal with this. See this? We're going to grab this. Select all of that. Press Control C. Message equals, and I actually put the same thing there, just because I can. Then I'm going to put a little message box, MSG, and if I press Control space, it'll actually come up with message box, open bracket, and now I need to put my variable message in there, MESAGE. I don't need to put any inverted commas there because it's a variable. Now if I run that and I click on egg and bacon rolls, I can click on this message and it says Matthew loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. And at the moment, James loves to eat roast beef. I can click on there, James loves to eat roast beef. I can actually change this and it'll come up there. But if I change this one, but don't actually run my mouse over this text box and just click on the message, you'll see that it has Stephanie loves to eat octopus, and up here Matthew loves to eat egg and bacon rolls. As soon as I run my mouse over it, of course it'll change to well, as soon as I press OK here, it'll change in here. So watch this. There we go. Alright, that's first forms.